to right. So what will we be looking at in this course? Well, number one, I will talk about resources. I will also give my opinion on that, and I will give you a clear outline of the outcomes of the course. In other words, what is it that you can expect to do or be able to, what you should be able to do at the end of the week, right? It is an advantage to really have a piano or a keyboard, or at least an access to one, regular access, maybe on a weekly basis, so that you can keep practicing, strengthening your fingers. That is the main thing. As musicians, we value different things. The brass players will not only value their instruments, but they will also value the texture of their lips, because that is what they need to produce sound. The woodwind will value not just the instrument, but will value the reed also, because that's what they need to produce sound. As pianists, we have to value not just the piano, we also have to value our hands, our fingers, because that's what we're going to use to produce sound. So I really urge you to not just own one, but take care of that instrument. I've seen sticky keys on different keyboards, pianos, and all that, and you see, this person was playing and drinking, eating at the same time. Please separate meal times with practice time. If you want your instrument to last for as long as you want it to last. All right, okay. So these instruments come in different sizes, right? The piano, if you want the real thing, like all keys there, different ranges from low to high notes, then the 88 key, the digital piano would do. An actual piano that does not require power anything is very, very expensive. So if you want to be cost effective and you want to have the wide range of sound, then the 88 keys is probably the best. However, if you want something that is portable, convenient for traveling, but you still have those low high-end notes, then a 76 key piano or keyboard rather would do. Otherwise, some people would prefer 61 keys, which just gives you 5 octaves, but with limited low and high-end notes. Otherwise, the most standard and basic for any beginner who wants to learn or maybe test their determination or passion, desire towards music, it's the standard 49 key keyboard, which is available at various music stores. The music producers would use 2 octaves, which I definitely do not recommend. I'd say if you really want to start and it's tough, try the 49 key. And obviously, then when you buy, you will have in mind two things: whether you want this thing to last you a lifetime, or you just buy looking into a year and you want to buy a proper one later on when you would have learned. Some people prefer, okay, I'm just going to get a cheaper one so that I can learn. Once I have perfected this, then I'll go and buy an actual piano or keyboard. So it's really up to you, but I'd say make sure you buy a reputable brand. I don't recommend that you buy online. Go to the store, test it, feel the keys, and really check if that's something that you want. Do you want to avoid sticky keys? By all means. And I've already spoken about this, taking care of your instrument. But another thing is, obviously, if you're in South Africa, there's load shedding and all sorts of things. Protect it against those power surges. So if you're not using it, just unplug it, keep it safe, protect it from dust also. If you don't have a piano cover or a keyboard cover, I'd suggest you use a towel or even maybe a blanket nicely folded to cover up the keys from gathering dust or anything of that sort. So what are we looking at this week? At the end of the week, so by Friday, at least we should all be able to play scales and arpeggios. Arpeggios are broken chords. So yes, music is a language, so I will introduce some words and I will try and explain them also in the most simple possible way so that they make sense to you. And so for now, don't worry about the weight scale and arpeggios. When we discuss them later on, I will define them, explain them as well. And then very important is to know the composition of a major scale. Most of our songs and the hymns that we sing are actually composed from a major scale. So this is going to be very critical, especially if you want to know how to play all 12 keys, and you want to be able to switch around the keys. You want to know the relationship between those keys. This is going to be very important. Be able to locate all names on the piano, right? We'll talk about this one shortly. Know middle C and its significance in music, not just the piano. And then basic dynamics, forte, piano, the difference between staccato and legato. We will also illustrate that. And then we will look at note values, time signatures. And for now, we'll just focus on crotchets and minims. And then at the end, you should be able to play a song or a hymn from a music sheet. So part of this course is to also teach you how to read music in staff notation. And we will even feature the solfa notation. So the nice advantage is that at the end of the week, you will know the relationship between those notes that are written in staff notation and how they are related to the solfa. So a staff notation hopefully will not be a foreign concept anymore at the end of this course, but it will be something that you can transcribe or translate to solfa notation. Let's get right straight into it. So we've got basic letters or alphabets that we use in music, and this is A to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We don't go further than that. So these are the seven most, we refer to them as the naturals. And then, of course, this will be our notes. Okay, so as you see it on a music sheet, on a line, on a space, you should be able to see what note what letter it is and where it is on the piano. That's going to be the primary focus for today, so that as we progress, you are able to relate what is in paper with what is on the keys, that is your piano. So we have, in essence, 12 different notes. You will see where the other 5 comes from shortly. It is just a modification of this 7 that are already exist. So we've got 12 keys, and it will be helpful. It's always helpful, actually, as a musician to or a pianist, to know how to play all these 12 keys. Yes, some instruments or keyboards especially, they allow you to transpose and all that, but it's always an advantage to know how to play each and every key, because sometimes you are playing there with the congregation and they switch the key. They switch the key. Now, what do you do in such a case? Right. I'd also suggest that you memorize the sound, the pitch of each note, as you learn, as you practice. This becomes very important in a situation where you have to play and you do not have a music sheet. More on this, obviously, in advanced courses. All right, so let's get started. Let's start here. How do we look? How do we know which key is what is which on the piano? I've put up the standard definitions, but you don't really have to worry about this. It might be confusing. It might maybe even discourage you to say this is a lot and all that. I try and make things simple as much as I can. So let's start with the note C, for example. All right. By now, I'm sure you would have picked up that there is actually a pattern on the piano or the keyboard, right? There are black notes and there are white notes, and there's a pattern with the black notes, groups of 3s and 2s, right? So C, the note C or the key C basically is located on to the left of what? The 2 black keys. So if you look at each pair of black keys, the 2s, to the left of those, there is a C. In other words, there's more than one C on the piano. The C's are actually repeating. The same thing with A's, the same thing with B's. So it's like a cycle. If you're going to start at A, you go A, B, C, D, F, G. We start again at A, B, C, D, F, G, from the lowest note up to the highest note. As you can see in this case, for an 88 key piano, we start on A and it ends on C. That is the situation there. Now, With that being said, yeah, I wouldn't really stress about, okay, now where's G and all that. Once you know C, the next letter after C is D. After D, it's E. After E, you have F. After F, you have G. And remember, from G, we go back again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So just take note one, whether you want to memorize where D is or E or F, G, just take one. You should be able to locate the others from that. One of the most important concepts in music theory, especially when if we are to discuss scales and keys, is the concept of the tone and semitone. Now, in terms of the piano, a semitone is a half step, and that means between the two keys that you would play, there is no other key. All right. So as you can see, these two keys that I've shown here using my arrows, my red lines, there is no key between this white key and the black key. The same thing between these two white keys. There is no key in between. So those are semitones. However, a tone would mean then there is a key in between, and that key can be black or it can be white in terms of the piano. So as you can see, another name for a tone is a whole step. So there is a tone, there's an example. Here is another example of a tone, and there's another example of a tone. So you can get a tone between black keys or a black and a white key or between white keys. The main thing here is the principle. What is a tone? We have a tone if there is exactly one note between two notes that are being played, all right, whether together at the same time or one after the other. Point is that that distance, that gap, is referred to as a tone. Please make sure you understand this thoroughly, because we will keep on referring to these two words later on. Right, then let's get to the black keys. All right, so the sharps and the flats. By definition, a sharp will raise a note by a half step, whereas a flat will lower a note by a half step. Now, what does that mean? I should probably illustrate that. And so I will just put up this camera here, camera one. Hopefully, that helps us all to see. It may not be that visible, but if you've got a bigger screen, you can actually make it much bigger. So I've got this one here, and I want you to recognize the difference between a sharp and a flat, what a sharp does and what a flat does. So if I play a sharp, so that means I must play a semitone to the right. So that's sharp. So this, and then I play a semitone to the left, and that would be D flat. So that is the difference, right? So that is the raise, and for ease, I would just like you to refer to sharps as or flats as all black notes. Okay, all the white notes we will refer to them as naturals. We are only starting, remember, so we don't want to complicate anything. We'll get more fancy later on once the foundation is solid. Then the next thing that I'd like us to do as a task, as a challenge for you, is to locate middle C. All right. So usually the standard is the C that is closest to the brand name of your instrument, of your piano, and will actually be your middle C. So as you can see in my case here, I have been able to locate my middle C. And as I said, tomorrow when we discuss music reading, how to read music and so forth, you're going to see clearly why it really matters to identify middle C. But as a heads up, it is quite important, because then, first of all, it helps you to separate your reading between the two clefs that we usually discuss in music, that is the treble clef and the bass clef. We will see them and work on them in depth tomorrow. So that's going to be your first assignment, right? Find the middle C. After that, once you have identified your middle C, I want us to do this. Remember what I said earlier on? Brass players take care of their lips because that's what enables them to produce the sound. And then when it comes to us, that is the pianist, our fingers become very important and crucial in making sure that we produce the required sound. So what I want you to do now, we're going to get to the piano. So this is the left hand, the right hand, as you can see on the diagram. I hope it is there. And then the thumbs, that is our ones. So the numbering is consistent on both hands, right? Your thumb is number 1, your index finger is number 2, the middle finger is number 3, the ring finger is number 4 in both hands, and the small finger, the pinky, is number 5. So I need you to memorize those numbers as well. This is what we're gonna do. All right, I'm gonna put up this here. So you should be seeing a piano on your screen. And then what I will also do is I will bring up this camera here so that whatever I play here and it's displayed, you also see how I position my fingers. I must say it is quite important. We stress this a lot. As a piano player, you need to build strength. So I would say, I think please take care of your fingers. As don't stretch them or anything of that note. You need to build strength so that you can play faster, and not just faster, but so that you can play accurately. You don't want yourself in a situation where you play and when you slip, you play the wrong note. We will talk about that as well later on. So for now, I want you to do this for me, okay? So on your piano, you would locate your middle C, and on that middle C, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have your right hand. That's where your right hand starts, okay? And we're gonna do this very slow, so that even the youngest person here, can understand what is going on. I don't want you to leave here confused or not remembering anything. So today, the main thing is I need you to build strength, and the exercises that I'm going to show you, I need you to carry on, like to do them consistently, even when you would have learned how to play a new song and all that. I would need you to actually be consistent in doing these exercises every day. If you can do that at least for 6 months to a year, that would be great. You would be rest assured to have built strength. Obviously, when you can play scales fluently, then you will use scales as your exercises. All right, so I'm going to start now with the demonstrations. So this is where we need to look and make sure that we are able to do this later on as part as our assignment for the day. So here's my right hand, my piano. Okay, first thing that I'd like you to take note is that when I play, I'm gonna move my fingers and not my hand at this stage. I'm not gonna move the hand. The fingers will move. Only the fingers will move at this stage. I will show you the left hand shortly. So what did I say? The thumb is number 1. And then what is number 2? Number 2 is the index finger. Number 3 is the middle finger. Number 4 is the ring finger. And the number 5 is the pinky. So I need you to do this, all right? You're going to start with this. Your first exercise is what I call the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how it's going to run. You're going to go. Now, that was quite fast, I would say. That was quite fast. So this is how you're going to start it. Please take your time. Go slow as you can. Right, so that's that. I need you to do it at that pace. If this is too fast, it is possible that it may be too fast. I encourage you to try the slowest pace that allows you to play with each finger separately. Just like that. What are we doing? We are building strength. All right. So I need this to be very straight. This must be flat. Just imagine having a hot cup of coffee, or maybe holding a ball in your hand to keep your palm in position. So I need you to have that in mind as you play. So that's your first exercise. Your second exercise will be the following. So we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna go 1, 3, 5. Now, why this exercise? It is very important for you to know this exercise because later on you're gonna play chords. You're also gonna play arpeggios. And remember, different songs are allocated different tempos. So you need to be able to play with some fingers while some fingers are not deployed. So 1, 3, 5. Okay, so as you can see, 2 and 4 are not involved, but I want you to keep them in position because at this stage, what are you doing? You are building strength. All right. So I'll show you the left hand shortly. But as I said, very, very important. Please, please, I beg you, just do this with separate hands. Right. So that is the second exercise. 1, 3, 5. So it will sound like this. Something like that. Okay. C, E, G, E, C, E, G, E, C. That's it. Okay. If that is too fast, go slow. That's fine. You can just go slow as you can. All right. Then the next thing that I want us to do, maybe let me just illustrate the left hand. Let me just illustrate the left hand while on this. The left hand, this, right? And with the left hand, again, remember 1 is still the thumb. So you play downwards. Very important, what is the position of the thumb? For the left hand, the thumb starts at G, and then just follow it by your index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky. So that will be your left hand. So that's your exercise for the left hand. That would be that. And then 1, 3, 5 would go. That's how it would go. And then finally, you can do 2 and 4s. So you're gonna keep 1, 3, 5 like in a frozen position. You freeze it, and then you go just that, just that, just that, just that. All right. Then you will do the same thing with the left hand. Okay, these are the exercises that we're gonna use to build strength. And while all this, let me show you something. And while at this, okay, these exercises are basically our steps, our little steps towards playing songs. I don't know how many of you know this song, but I'm sure it will sound familiar. But I'm trying to do it slow as well, just to show you what you can do from this exercise. So that's the power behind all this. Please do this. This is some form of a scale, by the way, 5 notes, but there is an actual scale. We've got special names for such scales. We'll get to that obviously at a later stage. So this is what I want you to do for me for the first day. Before we can go into depth, before we can go any further, I need you to go spend time actually practicing and strengthening your fingers so that when we proceed, the next few days are going to be quite fast because we're trying to do something that someone would do in 6 months in 1 week. So the next few days would require you to have actually familiarized yourself with the piano and ensured that you have started building the strength in the correct way, so that you do not struggle as we move onwards. I'm gonna stop here and I will allow for questions.